Coming up on iOS today, WWDC's keynote has taken place, and that means the software is here. And we are going to talk about it. We being Rosemary Orchard and me, Mikah Sargent. Stay tuned for a jam-packed episode of iOS Today.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is iOS Today with Rosemary Orchard and Mikah Sargent, episode 657, recorded Tuesday, June 6th, 2023, WWDC, iOS and iPadOS 17. This episode of iOS Today is brought to you by Lectric e-bikes. Skip the played-out gifts this Father's Day and give the gift of adventure with Lectric e-bikes. Visit lectricebikes.com to learn more and explore the epic models Lectric has to offer. And by HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. Go to HelloFresh.com/iOS16 and use code iOS16 for 16 free meals plus free shipping. And by Fastmail. Reclaim your privacy, boost productivity, and make email yours with Fastmail. Try it now, free for 30 days at fastmail.com/twit. Welcome back to iOS Today, the show where we talk all things iOS, iPadOS, TVOS, WatchOS, HomePodOS. Did I mention all of the other OSs? There are lots. Oh, did I say WatchOS? I don't know. Look, Apple makes some awesome devices that we have, that we use, that you have, that you use, and on those devices, you run operating systems. Yes, and we talk about them here on iOS Today. WWDC, Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference, is underway this week, and the keynote has happened, which means that we know about the new versions of Apple's operating systems. So I am pumped today to be talking about them. I am one of your hosts, Mikah Sargent.
And I am Rosemary Orchard. I'm very excited to be talking about all this stuff. It was a great keynote yesterday, Mikah. And, I don't know if we're going to be able to fit it all in. We don't have 2.5 hours plus 5 hours for analysis here.
Unfortunately, we do not. And in fact, that is going to be, sort of one of these things we have to figure out together is how much we're going to be able to get through. I think first and foremost, we should talk about iOS and iPadOS, and then we'll see where we are and what we can cover after that, because we also, at some point, probably next week, want to get to the Apple Design Awards. Those took place yesterday, and Apple has named some winners of the Apple Design Awards. So we, Rosemary Orchard and myself, always talk about those. Yeah, there's just so much to cover. We don't have all of the time in the world. So let's kick things off first and foremost by talking about iOS. Rosemary, what is the number for this next version of iOS?
Oh, I don't know, Mikah. We're currently on 16. So does that make it 9,000? Over 9,000?
It's
I guess
over
it's
9,000.
iOS 17?
Yes.
iOS 17. iOS and iPadOS 17 is the one we're going to.
Yeah. And so I was able to attend the event yesterday in person to watch them kind of go through things. And for anybody who was out there in the world, you and I saw very similar things. You know, in some cases, perhaps more than I do, because I was so involved in what was going on yesterday that I have not had that opportunity to dig in too, incredibly deeply. But what's great is that Rosemary and I can come together and share about these operating systems and the features and the experiences there. Apple kicked off the iOS section talking about a new actually talking about not a new app, but talking about apps that have existed for a long time, communication apps, and loads of new features that are coming to those communication apps. So let's talk about phone first and foremost, because there are some new experiences within phone.
Yeah, there are. And first of all, the one that I think a lot of people are really going to enjoy is the fact that you can now get live voicemail transcriptions. So for a while, we've been able to, if you were on a supported carrier, get transcriptions of voicemails. But now you can actually get live transcripts of the message as somebody is leaving it. And that seems pretty darn handy for, the time where you can't answer the phone, but if it is really important and they leave a message, it would be nice to know what's being said so that you can then, duck out of a meeting or whatever and go, oh no, I really need to go deal with those very friendly looking raccoons in the basement. At least that was the example that they put in the keynote yesterday. So yeah, it's really nice and ties in with the unknown callers as well. So that if you've got unknown callers or silence unknown callers, sorry, is the name of the setting. If that's turned on, then, you can actually take advantage of the fact that even though you are not going to hear the phone ring, you're still going to be able to see what's going on if they leave a message. And it's actually important.
And here's one of those moments where it is handy to have been on boots on the ground at WWDC, because I learned a little bit about this feature. It is a very clever bit of software hacking, so to speak, because essentially what's going to happen on your phone is that it's almost faking voicemail. What happens when the call is placed is that on device, your phone is going to pick up the call. And when it picks up the call, it will then play that voicemail message. You will get to see what the message is. And then if you choose to answer it, then you're essentially just going, okay, let me tune into this call now that is taking place. If you choose not to answer it, if you decline, or if you just ignore it until it goes away, then iOS will take that voicemail and will then forward it to your voicemail inbox. So it's a little bit of clever stuff going on behind the scenes to make this feature possible. And that way it can kind of be separated from the carrier side of things, that it can actually just kind of happen locally on device. And then, of course, it's also privacy maintaining in doing that live transcription. Another feature that I'm super excited about with phone, and this is actually kind of a feature that's going to make its way into all sorts of systems within these platforms, is a new customization feature. This is a feature that are called contact posters. And so you can make a contact poster for yourself. It has some typography at the top with your name, and then there's a photo option. It can be a black and white photo of you. It can be your emoji. It can be whatever. And you have just whatever you want set up to be your contact photo. And then there are a bunch of settings for the sake of making sure that this is not abused. So you set it so that it's only your people that you have saved as your contacts, for example, that can show up with a contact photo for you. And then there's also some special inbuilt technology that will automatically blur sensitive images. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because right after this feature was announced, and we're sitting in these seats outside watching the event, and someone in my general area mentioned something about, well, that's going to be abused pretty quickly. And there was a concern that somebody would use this feature to create a contact photo that was lewd and was not good. And so Apple did consider that and has sort of built in some ways to make sure that that's not an issue. But I really like this because when I think about contacts and contact sharing, I really do like to try to get a photo for every person. And so the idea that they can make it themselves now, and that it can be this sort of full featured face on my phone that pops up, and I can go, oh, now I don't suddenly have to sort of look really close and see who's calling. I can just see, oh, that is my mom, for example, that pops up. So I thought that was a really great feature. And there were a few other things within sort of the communication section that I thought were interesting. Rosemary, did you see that they have redesigned the interface for accessing iMessage apps and everything, every utility that's involved?
I did see that, Micah. And not only did I see that, I actually have it here on my iPad because, it is kind of a requirement for me, I guess, to go ahead and test all these features. So I'll just pop up my iPad and you can see that I was messaging Micah earlier. And if I tap on a plus, so where you would previously have had, sort of an array of app icons underneath the message bar, you will now see that there is a single plus. And then there's a number of features there, including obviously being able to take photos from your camera, photos, sending audio and your location, which has had a bit of an improvement. But not only that, there is also some new stickers and some other features as well, some of which are only available on iPhone, such as check-in. But this is pretty nice. And it's also quite cool to be able to just send any emoji as a sticker if you would like to do so. So there we go, Micah. Have a purple heart.
Oh, how nice. And I love that now, basically, before you could tap and hold on a message or double tap on a message and put thumbs up, thumbs down, and a few other little reactions. Now you can essentially use any emoji to react as a sticker, but it still gives you that opportunity to kind of react in whatever way. Just if anyone's familiar with Slack or Discord, it works a lot like that. Now, I want to give special attention to check-in because I actually think this is a fantastic feature that has been added to iOS. My partner and I, mostly because I have this anxiety, I've talked about it before on the show, where when Leo and I used to do the show together, and Leo would arrive at some time after 9 a.m. And I would always be worried that as he was making his way here, he drove off into a ditch somewhere and was not going to make it. So everyone in my life, whenever they're traveling, in my brain, it's going, are they in a ditch? Are they in a ditch? Are they in a ditch? And so I like in Maps, we've talked about it before, the share ETA feature, where in Maps you can share with another person. It tells them when you're meant to arrive, and then if that time changes because you took a stop or did something else or your route changed, then it will update that person. But with share ETA, it is a very location-focused feature. So the person with whom I've shared my ETA can kind of see my progress along the route. And in that way, it limits who you would be willing to sort of share that information with. What I like is that with check-in, it works a little differently. This, I think, opens up the opportunity for folks to safely share their journeys without that kind of block, that friction that comes from, do I really want this person to have my live location at this moment? Is that something that I'm concerned about? With check-in, you basically say, I'm about to go to a place, right? And they will then get a notification when you reach your destination. If you are making your way there and for some reason you stop making progress because let's say you're going from the Twit studios over to the Starbucks that's nearby. So the wonderful technical director on the show, Kevin, is making his way over to Starbucks, but on his way, a great white shark appears for some reason in the parking lot on his way there. And so he stops. Obviously, he's got to check out why this great white shark is randomly in the middle of the parking lot. It would then let me know, because he shared his check-in with me, that for some reason, he stopped making progress. This gives me the opportunity to check in with him and make sure that everything's okay. He sends the photo of the shark. I go, oh, well, he's a shark guy. Obviously, he's got to check out the shark. Maybe I'll go too. But if the shark bit Kevin, which we know sharks don't attack very easily, they're not aggressive creatures mostly, then for some reason the shark bit Kevin and he was unable to respond, at that point, then it will share Kevin's location, the battery level of his phone, and also the current cell service status of the phone. So that way I would be able to find Kevin, save him from this shark that has bitten off his leg, and be able to get him over to the Starbucks and, to the emergency room afterward. So all of that is to say, what I love about this feature is, maybe Kevin would not want to share his exact location with me with that ETA feature, but something where in the normal scheme of things, won't have that location information. It's only in the case of an emergency would I have it. I know I would be willing to then tell more people about where I'm going. And then that just makes people, I think, safer overall. So a really cool feature. Rosemary, you have some more that you want to talk about when it comes to messages, phone, and FaceTime.
Yeah, so I wanted to mention about specifically the stickers and how the stickers have been improved for iOS 17. So we previously had stickers. They've been around for a while. Don't worry, they're not going away if you do like using them. But if you've wanted to be able to use things like emojis as stickers before, then you can. And now you can also create your own stickers. So if I tap on the plus and go to stickers, it'll pop up this view. And as you can see, I've got a really adorable cat here. Her name's Gracie. But what I can do is I can tap on any picture and it will pop in and attempt to figure out who the focus or what the focus in this photo is. And in this case, we've got a lovely picture of Ruby, who's an adorable kitty cat. And then it will use that same technology that it uses to help you lift the subject out of a photo and let you add that as a sticker. And then you can actually go ahead and you can add effects. So you can add like a sort of white outline to it. You can turn it into a comic effect. It doesn't show up too well here on Ruby. There we go.
Whoa.
Puffy effect works quite well. And then there's also shiny for a lovely sort of holographic. But not only that, there's also the ability to do live stickers. So this is a live photo that was taken of me wearing a ridiculous costume. I was trying some flying trapeze at the weekend, and I forgot my clothes, and they wouldn't let me use that as an excuse for not doing it. It's a live photo that was taken, and it just has automatically picked me out, and so I can use that as a sticker now. I'll add a lovely little shiny effect to it, and then I can just send that over to Mikah using that just as a sticker by just placing it on that message. And then if Mikah were running iOS 17, then he would hopefully see a little animated version of that coming in on his end. But this is really nice. And stickers and in general sort of iMessage apps, while they didn't necessarily, aside from stickers, get a lot of talk time, the fact that things like location sharing and so on shows up directly in line in messages now is just going to be really useful and powerful for folks. So I can see a lot more people wanting to use this and take advantage of that.
That is awesome. I will report that I am not able to see any of those stickers, unfortunately. It was funny. Yesterday, I was walking out of the Apple Podcasts studio at WWDC, and I got this message, and it said, in parentheses, testing stickers. And I immediately turned to Jason Snell of MacBreak Weekly and Dan Morin, my co-host on Clockwise and occasionally a guest on MacBreak Weekly. And I said, Rosemary's got the betas installed. They said, of course she does. So I was a little bummed I wasn't able to see the stickers that you sent me. But yeah,
well,
still.
I wanted to send the explanation of testing stickers in case you were getting, like the tapback effects on Android when they go through,
Yeah, it says like
Mikah
Rosemary
Sargent,
sent
like
it.
this message. Rosemary Orchard, like this message.
So that was fun. Let me quickly talk about FaceTime. So with FaceTime, there are a few options. One, now you can leave a message whenever you're using FaceTime. So if you place a call with FaceTime, what happens is if the person doesn't answer, ring, 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 and then it just cancels. The call is over. Or if someone obviously hits the button to cancel it, then it also ends. Now, if the person doesn't answer or whatever, then you can leave a message and say, hey, I was FaceTiming you to talk about blah, 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 blah. It also is going to include some fun little reactions that you can do. So if you throw up 2 thumbs while you're doing a FaceTime call, or you do certain gestures, there are all sorts of different gestures that you can kind of find based on hearts, confetti, fireworks, and some more, then those hand gestures will make these kind of animated effects where there's confetti in front of you, so they're very layered, which is pretty neat, or fireworks that kind of burst behind you. And those all kind of work together no matter where you're doing these FaceTime calls. So that is available on FaceTime anywhere on any device. I think we should take our first break because there's so much more to talk about. But I do want to take a moment to tell you about electric e-bikes who are bringing you this episode of iOS Today. If you're struggling with, what am I going to get Dad for Father's Day? Well, don't settle for the tie. Instead, give him the gift of a fun, powerful, and easy way to get outside and explore with his own electric e-bike. I mean, yeah, you could stick with that pocket knife, the beer-themed apparel, or the bar set, but why not switch it up with a gift that he'll want to use every chance he gets? And I'm telling you, I know when I got on that electric e-bike, I wanted to use it every chance I got because it's so much fun. The wind in your hair. You can see Leo if you're watching, but if you're listening, I'll describe. Leo's on the cargo e-bike. I believe it's called the Expedition model, and he actually has some boxes on the back of it because it's got this nice cargo rack that you can put attachments on. So there's an option for some child seats. In this case, he's just got boxes strapped to the back. But these electric e-bikes have got lots of torque. They're a lot of fun. They fold up. They're very compact, so you can go ahead and take them where you're planning on biking, and they're just helpful for things like hills, but also I just think they're kind of exhilarating even if you're not going on hills. So this year, give Dad a new adventure buddy. From quick store trips to outdoor adventures, electric e-bikes created a mode of transportation that anyone can ride. With quality, feature-filled models financed as low as $73 per month, your adventures won't cost a fortune. They include a powerful removable battery, a bright LCD display that I think we're about to show on screen, 7-speed gearing, so yes, it also has gears, and 5 levels of pedal assist to power your ride. I'll be honest, I turned it up to the max the first time thinking, oh, I'm going to need to do this because I had not really used an e-bike before. Boy, howdy, does that thing have get up and go. So, start low, work your way up from there. But it's got this great display that shows you your current miles per hour. It's got lights for the front and back that light up that are battery powered as well. And then Leo and I went on a little trip around the TWiT studios and had fun riding on our bikes. You can roam freely and reach up to 28 miles per hour with the twist of a throttle or the next level pedal assist. That's what's cool is that there are 2 options. You've got the throttle on the handle, but you can also, whenever you're pedaling, it will just add to that experience there. Electric e-bikes, as I mentioned, foldable. They ship free, fully assembled. So if you kind of had that concern of, oh, well, I'm going to get this for Dad, but then he's going to have to get it all set up. Well, no, Dad doesn't want to have to do the thing he always has to do, which is get the bike or the toy set up for whomever. No, in this case, it's already ready to rock. So transform how you get around. Electric e-bikes offer a wide range of customizable and adjustable e-bike options to accommodate an array of different lifestyles, including rides from the effortlessly fun XP Lite to the highly capable cargo e-bike, the Expedition. Join more than 250,000 dedicated riders on the road thus far. Skip the played-out gifts this Father's Day and give the gift of adventure with electric e-bikes. Visit electricebikes.com to learn more and explore the epic models Lectric has to offer. That's electricebikes.com. electricebikes.com. Thank you so much, Electric E-Bikes, for sponsoring this week's episode of iOS Today. Let's head back to the show as we continue to cover the new operating systems and the new features that we can, or that you all can expect coming soon. Rosemary's already testing, and I forgot to mention the developer betas hit right after the event. I think it was a couple of hours, maybe even less, after WWDC's main keynote ended. And then the public betas are going to be shipping next month. So that will be the opportunity for the general public outside of the developer community to get the opportunity to test iOS 17, iPad, all of the OSs. So if this stuff is very exciting, you're wanting to give it a go and help Apple make sure that it's bug free and a good experience, well, that will be coming your way soon. Let's move on to talk about a feature that I really thought of you. I thought of Matthew Casanelli. I thought of Mikah Sargent. I thought of a few people who like to control their homes and have thought about having some sort of panel where they could do all of that. Apple announced Standby for iPhone. What is Standby?
So this is a really cool new feature, which anybody who has, as I happen to have one here, a MagSafe charging stand is really going to appreciate. Now, unfortunately, due to a bug in the beta, I have had to restore my iPhone. So I don't actually have it running iOS 17 right now. But what you can do essentially is dock your phone on this landscape, on a MagSafe charging stand in landscape. And then when you do so and it's in landscape, then it will show you a dashboard. But this is not just a dashboard. If you kind of think of widgets and the Apple Watch and the watch faces, and then imagine that they had a little baby together, this is what standby mode looks like. And so you have different screens which can show you different kinds of information at different times of day. Notifications come in, and they come in I've got a few screenshots hopefully that I might be able to show off from yesterday when I was testing this, where a friend of mine was convenient enough to, or smart enough to send me a message at just the right time. And there it is. So I'll just pop that up on my iPad for folks. So when notifications come in, they'll sort of appear on screen as a full screen. And then you've got, sort of overviews. This is a sleep face that I set up so that this is when my phone can be on the dock before I go to bed, and sleep mode enables, which obviously dims everything down. But it's just a really nice idea to have, a device that you've probably got, within sight all the time that has an always on display, actually taking advantage of that. And so if it's on a MagSafe charging stand, then it's going to be able to do that. And it's even going to remember, based on different charging stands, like what display it was showing. Now, in my experiments earlier, I've got a couple of MagSafe charging stands dotted around the house. It wasn't necessarily remembering things for me, and I don't quite know how it does this, if it's actually using like something MagSafe related with MagSafe IDs, or if it's using like your geographic location. I filed a bug report on that, but then I had to restore my iPhone anyway. So I will be finding out once I finish restoring, and then I install the beta again later today to see if I can figure out what's going on there. But it's just a really lovely idea to have that information that you want and need right at hand, in your face without being too in your face.
Yes, I was very excited about this because this was also Apple's opportunity to sort of show off the new kind of glancing interface and interactive widget experience. This just being able to do more with our devices, right? I think that's what makes this particularly exciting. And speaking of interactive widgets, that is sort of part of this experience now is when I look at my phone that is, running iOS 16, I've got different widgets on my screen, both iPhone and iPad. And those widgets are essentially nothing more than links to apps, right? There's the option for developers to be able to do a little bit more. So for example, this is the Fantastical widget. And on the left, it's showing my calendar by the days, and on the right, it's showing my actual events. And there's a little plus icon in the bottom right corner. When I tap on that, all it does is launch Fantastical to a specific page. And what you can do with Fantastical is choose what that little action button does. And essentially what the developer is doing is linking to a specific dialogue or page or setting within the app. So depending on what app you have there, you would have that a specific option. So it could, for example, if you tap on an email, it could launch that page and show that email. But outside of that, it's not very interactive. What's coming in iOS 17 is the ability to take things further, where I don't need to necessarily launch an app to be able to interact with something. So Apple showed the Home app is one way to make use of this, that I could have on my home screen or on a second screen, wherever, little tiles for my different lights, and be able to just tap on it, and it wouldn't launch the Home app. Instead, it would just right there go ahead and turn on or off the lights. Or if I have reminders, to be able to just tap right there without needing to go into the app to make it happen. That, I think, is magnificent. That is the experience that I really want. And if we go to Rosemary, it looks like Rosemary's showing us some magical stuff here on iPad.
Yeah. So all of the features that came into iPhone and iOS are also coming to the iPad, which includes those interactive widgets. So I have a task list in my reminders called iOS Today. And there's a couple of tasks on there. So I need to say, hi, Mikah. And I've done that. And now I can just check that off. And it updates straight away. It sends it off to the app, which immediately changes the count of things that are due and then slowly makes the actual task disappear. And then there's some other, the Home app has finally got a widget. It didn't have a widget before, and I can use that to turn on and off lights, which there's one behind my head if you're watching the video. And as I tap the widget, it turns on and off, which is pretty cool. So, this is a really good thing that a lot of people have been asking for. A number of times I've seen app developers have to respond to users of, sorry, no, I can't make my widget interactive because that's an iOS thing. Like, I can't do that. And people are like, well, your widget's rubbish then. It's like, it's not the developer's fault. It was a widget kit limitation. And now it's going to be a combination of widget kit and how much time does the developer have to implement all of the new things that we got at WWDC that may mean that widgets aren't necessarily interactive as soon as iOS 17 comes out in September. But as it is, it's going to be pretty nice. And I'm looking forward to all sorts of things like task managers and so on updating so that you can check things off without having to open the app. And I don't know, maybe from Fantastical, if the calendar event is like the next one and it's got a location, when I tap on it, it'll be able to navigate me to that in Maps or something. That would be pretty cool if it could do that. But I guess we'll have to see what happens.
Apple has also decided to update AirDrop a little bit. So we are used to using AirDrop. I go into Photos, I select multiple photos, I tap the share sheet icon, and then up pops the share sheet where I can then choose to AirDrop it, which will sort of link two devices together temporarily, let you send over files, photos, whatever. AirDrop is sort of, it's being rethought, or I guess maybe it's having an add-on. And I think that this is smart. I was talking to Jason Snell about this, and he mentioned how he feels like a lot of folks, average everyday folks, don't necessarily sort of grok AirDrop and understand what it is, how it works, what you're doing, because of the way that it exists kind of hidden behind these different options. But being able to simply bring two phones near each other and say, now what I'm trying to do is share something, that makes a lot of sense for a lot of people, because it is this sort of physical gesture. It is, okay, I've selected these things and now I want to pass it off to this other person. So you will now be able to use this nearby interaction to transfer stuff over AirDrop. And there were two features that came along with this that both got reactions as I was watching the keynote live. One was a feature called NameDrop, which got a huge chuckle because it's just a great, clever name for a feature. And with it, it is, I think folks will be familiar in the early days of iOS. I can remember an app that tried to do this, and I think it maybe even been called Bump, but essentially you and another person can share your contact details very easily, using this NameDrop feature. So right now, what I end up doing when I'm trying to get someone's phone number, a new friend or whatever, is I launch the Messages app, I tap New Message, and then I hand over my phone and say, text yourself, essentially. And so then they send a text that says, this is Mikah or whatever. And then we have that interaction. And then I save the phone number that way. It used to be that you would hand it over and you just do the phone call. But with this, you can choose to share certain information, leave certain information behind, and then also share your contact poster, which we talked about before, all using this name drop feature. So I choose, with any particular person, I want to share my name, I want to share my phone number and my email, but I don't want to share my Android phone number, or I don't want to share this, or I don't want to share that. That can all be left off. You simply put your phone near the other person's, you name drop it over, and then they can swap with you at the same time. The other feature that got an actual kind of woo moment was a new feature called AirDrop. Well, actually, it doesn't quite have a name, but it is a feature of AirDrop where, and this happens a lot. I at home and here in the studio am spoiled with excellent Wi-Fi, right? So I can, from my phone, share something to my Mac. I can share something to another phone. People who are over with guests, I can share stuff to them so easily, so quickly. But a lot of people don't have these, gigabit or more internet connections. And when you're out and about, the cellular connections. And so given that, it can be kind of troublesome to try and share an AirDrop and have the whole thing transfer over. If you are trying to share 30 images with someone or a big video file with someone, if the person doesn't want to sit there with their phone open and make sure that AirDrop is actually going to transfer over, I've seen a lot of failures of transferring the AirDrop in the way that it's set up now. In coming later this year, AirDrop is going to let you send files over the internet. So you'll start the AirDrop session locally, but then if you move out of the distance of the device, it will continue to send securely and in full quality over the internet, even if you leave that range, as long as you and your recipient are signed into iCloud. So it's essentially using iCloud on the back end, and it will swap from trying to share the files directly to just going up into the cloud and letting them get it that way. So I thought that was a very clever sort of, you wouldn't think about it front of mind, I think. And so the fact that they're making that happen, I think is great.
Yeah, this will be especially handy for those times where, you've taken a bunch of pictures of folks and you've got to run. So you need to leave, which means you can't hang around to let AirDrop transfer finish. You can start and then you'll be able to let it finish, over the internet. I'm hoping that it's going to have kind of like a pause and resume if your signal drops or something, because usually if you have to run off somewhere, then, your signal's going to get weaker or disappear at some point before it reconnects. But fingers crossed, this will work great. And I'm certainly looking forward to giving it a try.
A few other quick things. Autocorrect has been updated. They are using a new transformer model for it that is supposed to result in improvements in what we can expect. It also means that it pays more attention to you specifically and your habits. And if you want to ducking say something a certain way, you'll be able to. It'll actually listen to you whenever you make that change. So what it means sort of in practice, and it was funny, I was talking to Kevin before the show about this, is most people are probably not going to notice that autocorrect has changed, because we as humans tend to sort of accept when things are working and it just kind of rolls past us. But when something is not working, that's whenever we pay attention to it. So in theory, if this is going to improve, you may not notice unless you're paying close attention, but what it'll result in is less times whenever you're trying to type something out and it keeps autocorrecting it to something else instead. Apple also improved, also using a transformer model, this time for voice recognition. It is improving dictation on across the system so that it is better at translating what you've said into text. And the predictions are going to be more in line as opposed to the way now where you can kind of tap above and try to figure that out. You just use the space bar and that'll help you finish words or specific sentences. So I like those kind of tiny changes that are taking place there. Also, I was very excited to hear that they are changing the way that Hey, SIRI works, where right now we say Hey and then the name. In iOS 17 and forward, you will just say Siri. And so that will activate it. And then what I was pumped to see is that you will be able to do back-to-back commands to the virtual assistant. This is something that has kept me from wanting to use SIRI for so long because it was annoying to me that I had to say, hey, you, turn on my lights, and then hey, you, set my lights to direct sunlight, and hey, you, set my lights to 60% brightness. The idea that I can just say the name, turn on my lights, then set them to direct sunlight and change them to 60%. That is a pretty cool feature. Any other small things if you have a comment on that as well, but any other small things in iOS that you want to mention before we move on to talk about iPadOS?
Well, so I'm showing this on my iPad, but this is the same on the iPhone as well. I checked it before I had to restore it, which is you can actually say for the Siri option what it should listen to. So either you can turn it off so it's not going to listen at all. You can have it go listen just for Hey, SIRI, or it can listen for Siri or Hey, Siri. There we go. That's spaced out. Hopefully enough that I'm not triggering everybody's HomePods, and I certainly didn't trigger my iPad. So fingers crossed for you all who are listening. But yeah, that's a really nice feature that will definitely benefit, especially with some of those improvements that they're looking at in CarPlay, which will be coming along later this year, so that we can benefit from not just all of the improvements there, but also just the fact that Siri is going to be a little more responsive, because don't you just ducking hate it when Siri just isn't listening to you?
I do. Yes, there's really quite a bit of that's the fun thing about this is that there are always these smaller features. We didn't really, we can probably talk a little bit about it in iPadOS, but there's a new app that's coming later this year called Journal that will give you prompts for things that you might want to journal about and help you sort of practice gratitude, which I know makes a lot of people roll their eyes, that sort of phrase, but it is sort of scientifically backed psychological understanding that by sort of looking at and acknowledging and being reminded of the things in our life that we are grateful for, that in doing so, it can help with improving our mental health overall, and can also help you kind of slow down time when things feel like they're kind of slipping away from you. Realizing the things that you've experienced and having that moment might help you, stop that existential crisis you're having. There's so much. Freeform is getting a bunch of new drawing tools, which is very exciting. I'm looking forward to checking that out. Now photos will recognize pets, and that got a huge cheer at WWDC. Everyone there were some people who stood up at that. You'll be able to share AirTags and other Find My Network accessories with up to 5 other people. I want to make it clear, it is not tied to families. You can share it with up to 5 other people. So if you and someone else, maybe someone borrows your vehicle and you have an AirTag in your vehicle, then you could temporarily share that AirTag with them, so then they're not getting that notification that there's an AirTag you don't know following along with you. PDFs are getting improvements for being able to interact with them, but also autofill on forms. There's going to be an activity history in Home, so you can see kind of different things that are happening in your home. And there's also going to be, I was was excited to hear about this. Crossword puzzles coming to the News app. So if you're an Apple News Plus subscriber, there will be some crossword puzzles there, which means that I will probably be opening the News app a lot more than I have been thus far. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll talk some more about iPadOS and maybe cover a few more features that are exciting. And I know for Shortcuts Corner today, Rosemary's got some stuff to talk about. But I do want to pause to take a moment to tell you about HelloFresh. It's time to get a little hungry because this summer, HelloFresh is here to take the work out of eating well. You can reach your goals with delicious, calorie-smart, and protein-smart lunch and dinner options. Plus, there are new vegan recipes, too. You can get farm-to-table quality with every HelloFresh box. HelloFresh's seasonal ingredients are packed at peak ripeness and travel from the farm to your doorstep in less than 7 days for fresh flavor in every bite. I really like that I can count on me opening that bag and seeing produce that isn't expired or spoiled or has mold growing on it or anything like that. Figuring out what's for dinner is not at the top of anyone's summer activity wish list. It's certainly not at the top of mine. HelloFresh delivers mouth-watering, chef-crafted recipes and fresh ingredients to your door so you can spend your summer doing, well, whatever it is you want to do. HelloFresh Market has new snacks, meals, and more to add on to your weekly order, like their Fun S'mores bundle for the kids. You can make entertaining easy with a selection of crowd-pleasing eats, like their bratwurst bar with caramelized onions, Dijonnaise slaw, and pineapple relish, or a snack board with pretzel bites, spiced bar nuts, and hot honey peach jam. If you need dinner ready, like now, well, look for the quick and easy recipes on the HelloFresh menu, including fast and fresh options ready in just 15 minutes or less. HelloFresh is more convenient than grocery shopping, but did you know it's actually cheaper too? It's also 25% less expensive than takeout. Save money, save time, save stress. Get HelloFresh. No matter your lifestyle, you'll always find delicious recipes on the HelloFresh menu. You can take a bite out of something new with 40 recipes to choose from weekly. You can even swap proteins and sides to make a recipe just how you like it. They send these beautiful recipe cards, and they've got the sort of what you aspire to create at the end. This, just keep in mind, it's a professionally shot photograph. So if yours doesn't look exactly like this, don't hold it against yourself. You're doing great, honey. You're doing great, sweetie. Over here, you've got all of the ingredients that you can expect. So then you can double check in the bag that everything is there as you want it. And then on the back is all of the information for making every step of the process. What I like is that they also have these little moments where, for example, swap in chicken or organic chicken for pork if you'd like. Cook 3 to 5 minutes per side. So if you want a different protein, then you could do that, and they tell you how you can make that change. That is what I like about HelloFresh, is the customization options. And as you are going through, as you're trying new recipes, you get the idea kind of how things come together. And then you get the opportunity to kind of play around, experiment with what you want to create. I know I like to add a few more spices to mine, so I have done that to my HelloFresh recipes, and it feels like jazz. I'm just sort of bopping along, creating, and I bet I could just throw in a little bit of extra fresh cumin, for example, that I just ground. It's so much fun. It's very easy, and for me, I have to tell you, and I know a lot of techie folks are this way, I don't want to have to think about what it is I'm going to eat next. And so having HelloFresh in the fridge is so nice, because then I can just go, okay, it's already figured out. And then I get to make food, which I really enjoy doing. And it's so easy, fun, and in some cases, incredibly quick with those quick and easy meals. HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit. Go to HelloFresh.com/iOS16. I know we've moved on to 17, but there's a reason why it's iOS 16, and use the code iOS16 for 16 free meals plus free shipping. That is why. HelloFresh.com/iOS16 and use the code iOS16 to get 16 free meals and free shipping. That tells me that there's no reason you should not be going there right now. You get 16 free meals. Think about that. That's so nice that I don't have to think about what I'm going to make next, because for the next 16 meals, HelloFresh and iOS Today has you covered. Head there. HelloFresh.com/iOS 16 with the code iOS 16. All right, Rosemary Orchard, we've got enough time to cover a little bit of iPadOS before we head into Shortcuts Corner. So, and of course the news. Tell us, and in fact, you know what? I'm going to do this. Name some of your favorite other features that have come out across iPadOS, WatchOS, TVOS, and elsewhere. Yeah, we'll go with elsewhere.
Well, I'll start with iPadOS because there's a feature that I know a lot of folks have been looking for, and they're going to be pleased to see that it's here. Customizable home screens.
Woo!
So we've got these on the iPhone, but they weren't on the iPad, and now they are. And so you're going to be able to customize home screens with adding widgets, doing the different text options, and so on. So if I tap on the time, for example, I can change it to use a segmented, it's not quite segmented, but it's sort of a split digit font. There's widgets over on the left, and also not only that, but they've updated all of the different home screens. So, for example, if you want a really gorgeous picture of a Saturn as your lock screen wallpaper, then you can do that. And you can add that and set these as wallpaper pairs, and they tie into focus modes. Then it will, just work just like the iPhone, which is great. And I'm really looking forward to that. So that's a big one. And honestly, all of the other features that came as part of iOS 17 as well. Another big one that we keep getting asked about, health. The health app has arrived
Finally
on iPad, which is great because, one of the things that, messes with me in my brain and also with my shortcuts that I create is that I'll create a shortcut for somebody and they'll try it out and it won't work on their iPad because they don't have the health app on their iPad. And that's a problem. So now the health app's there. And that's really, really handy. Speaking of the health app, the medications feature got a really great improvement, which was the repeated reminders. So now if you don't take a medication and you've got a medication reminder set up in the health app, you can get repeated notifications to say that you need to take it.
Are they trying to Sherlock do? What? That's
I don't know. It's not quite that naggy.
No.
And I've only tried it once so far today. And yeah, I'm on the fence about how useful that's going to be. It still has a lot of things lacking, but WatchOS as well has just come in with a whole complete new redesign. So if I try and show off the new WatchOS 10, unfortunately I can't because my Apple Watch is disconnected from my iPhone because it's still restoring and one of them's ahead of the other one, which is never a good sign. But there are some really great new features predominantly based around interaction. So the way that you interact with your Apple Watch has now changed with instead of swiping up to go to the control center, instead you swipe up and you get a sort of widget stack and overlay. And there'll be tips and other things. And this, for any folks who've used or tried the Siri watch face before, is kind of like the bottom part of the Siri watch face gets put down underneath the bottom swipe. You still got notifications underneath the top swipe, and then you'll be interacting to go to the control center using the button on the side to open it and close it. And then the crown will still take you to an app list as it did previously. There's also some new watch faces, including this really lovely I can't remember what this one is called, but it's using it's the palette face, and it's got different color schemes, and as the seconds move around, if anybody is watching the video closely, you can see that there's like two segments of color, and this moves around and it kind of like fills your whole screen and wipes it out and as it goes, and it's just really lovely, and there's even a rainbow option for this. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and yeah, they also added Snoopy to the watch as well.
They did, and it was so cute. Oh, so cute. I will quickly mention something that I was excited to see. We will, of course, we've got loads more to talk about, and we'll talk about it over the coming several months before this stuff actually finally rolls out. And as the public betas come out, we'll cover it again and talk about what may change in the public beta. That's the good thing about this, is that it's a whole set of topics that kind of goes on. But I am very excited about tvOS 17 bringing FaceTime to Apple TV. The past 2 3 Christmases and Thanksgivings, I had my family all lives in Missouri, and so communicating with them has either involved this MacBook Air or an iPad that is sort of precariously placed, and I'm trying to sort of position it, and they only have iPhones on their end, so they're trying to sort of pass the phone around, and then you get kind of dizzy. It's been a nightmare. So seeing FaceTime come to TVOS, and the brilliance of the way that they've figured this out using continuity camera so that your iPhone can serve as the camera for your FaceTime experience is going to be fantastic. I can't wait for the very involved support call where I help them get it set up. But once it's set up, I am looking forward to being able to FaceTime chat with them in a way that is comfortable for everybody involved and doesn't have to require people moving a phone around. And there is, I wanted to mention to go along with this, a WWDC session that is coming on Thursday called Integrate with Motorized iPhone Stands Using Dock Kit. So Apple is releasing, I don't think it's out yet, but I think the Dock Kit is new. But regardless of whether Dock Kit is new, what is new is this ability to integrate with motorized stands. So you can almost imagine connecting your phone to a stand that at the very least can pivot left and right, and then being able to place that device in front of your television, and as you get up and move around, it can follow along with you. That is exciting, and I'm looking forward to seeing almost certainly Belkin release a motorized
Belkin actually
stand.
already have a product for this, and I can't remember what it's called, but they actually have it's a MagSafe video camera mount for your phone, but it only works in 1 or 2 apps. And so I'm wondering if this was kind of the impetus behind it, because the products has existed for a while. But yeah, it'll be really interesting to find out what happens there.
Good find, Kevin. So that I am looking forward to seeing, and there's going to be lots of coverage of the Vision Pro. So and this show is primarily talking about operating systems. But I did one more quick mention, and then Rosemary, if you have a few little tidbits and bites that you want to share outside of that. Apple talked about home and audio together, and some of the features coming to AirPods, including some special volume modes, or a volume mode, a personalized volume mode that kind of pays attention to how you listen to music and content, and then changes the audio based on what you're listening to. And then on, on the noise cancellation side of things, this sort of adaptive mode where it can switch between transparency and blocking out audio, noise cancellation, depending on where you are, what the environment is. So as you're walking along, if suddenly you hear construction near you, then it can block that out. But then you are trying to have you hear somebody who's calling your name, then it can sort of change to transparency. And then even cooler is that it can be smart about if you're having a conversation with someone, and it will sort of duck the audio in the background of the conversation that you're having. So it becomes a lot more aware with personalized volume, conversation awareness, and automatic switching. And then, I forgot, you can also mute and unmute a call, which is a nice feature that hasn't been possible. It used to be, you'd tap the thing and it would hang up the call. So being able to actually mute or unmute is nice. And then the auto switching, I turned off on everything because it was not good. But I'm looking forward to seeing how that has improved in the next version. Any last things you want to mention before we move on?
Not in particular, aside from the fact that HomeKit is going to get logging. So you're going to be able to actually see the history of who unlocked a door and things like that. It's only going to be for certain things, security-related ones, such as, locks and so on. But that is probably going to be very useful to a lot of folks who would like to know, why is this door unlocked? Who unlocked it? They'll now be able to check that in the Home app once they get iOS 17 and iPadOS 17.
There was this interesting article in iMore. I have not seen this anywhere else. But so I don't know, Rosemary. There were claims that Apple made the developer beta available to folks who aren't developers, and I more spoke to a few people who were able to access the iOS 17 developer beta without having any sort of developer account, and I have not been able to confirm that independently. It did show up for me, but that's because I am a registered developer. So it could be that if you went in your phone and you opened up settings and you tapped on general and then you chose software update and then you went into a little tab that appears called beta updates, it could be that you are seeing the ability to download the beta. iMore, of course, is warning, hey, you don't want to download this. It's going to be buggy. Yeah. Rosemary, you just had to restore your phone this morning. Yeah. That's troublesome. And I'm also seeing Knox Harrington in the chat confirming that they too did experience this. So, hey, if there are some folks who have seen this, I'm gonna have to ask some folks here if they are also able to update to the beta. Yeah. That is troublesome for sure.
Yeah. So if you're there and you're not a developer and you're going, oh yeah, I can get the developer beta, pause, take a deep breath, wait until next month. I literally installed the beta last night, had to completely and utterly wipe my iPhone this morning, and then reinstall iOS 16, which my iPhone is still restoring. It's still got another 40 gigabytes of data to go before I can then install iOS 17 again, and fingers crossed that bug that I encountered will not be there. This is very much intended for you are, writing apps and things to work with iOS. Let the developers break it for a month before you join the public beta, and you'll have a much better time of it, I promise.
Especially because the other
and
problem...
And also, shortcuts on iPhone just crashes on launch, so it's not even worth it.
And that's, I'm concerned that folks will do this and then Apple will stop sort of signing it, or will figure out a way to sort of disable, and then it's going to cause a whole headache trying to get it back to what you want before. And if people didn't back up their devices before they decided to update to this is a nightmare. If this is the case that a lot of people are seeing this, that is fascinating to me.
Also, ScooterX has just made a very good point in the chat room. A lot of banking apps will absolutely freak out if you are in a beta, and they will just crash on launch. And so you wouldn't be able to access online banking if they use their apps to send you, for example, a two-factor authentication code or something. I highly recommend not installing the beta at this point in time. And when you do, secondary device, such as your iPad or something, rather than your iPhone, if you use your iPhone more than your iPad or vice versa, rather than jumping in headfirst, as exciting as it sounds. You've got to have vision, but maybe hold off for a bit.
Yes. All right. Let us let's take another quick break, and then we will come back for Shortcuts Corner and our app caps. I want to take a moment to tell you about, goodness gracious, love this sponsor. It's Fastmail. You should be making email work for you, and you can do that with Fastmail, which lets you customize your workflow with colors, with custom swipes, with night mode, and so much more. I'm impressed with the additional features that Fastmail has added over time. It proves that investing in an email provider is so worth it, because you get a tool that is purpose-built to help you make your best experience when it comes to email, to have your best experience when it comes to email. Fastmail now has quick settings. So in this quick settings menu, you can easily choose a new theme for your email, switch between light mode and dark mode, change your text size, all without leaving the Fastmail screen you're looking at. Quick settings will also offer options related to the Fastmail screen you're viewing. So you can generate a new masked email address, show or hide your reading pane, switch between folders and labels. You can choose to autosave contacts or choose to show public images of senders from external services like Gravatar. I find that helpful because I can easily scan through those icons and go, yes, I want to read that. No, I don't need to read that. You can set default reminders for events. If you're using the calendar functionality, change how invitations are handled, turn notifications on or off for calendar alerts. And you can also now add or buy a domain right in Fastmail, and they'll go ahead and set up all of the records for you so it works immediately. Fastmail gives you the ability to send and receive emails from your own domain and manage multiple email addresses in one space, which helps keep you organized and protects your personal data. Fastmail has been at this for more than 20 years, a leader in email privacy. That's what you get when you pay for your email provider. The Fastmail team believes in working for its customers as people to be cared for, not products to be exploited. Advertisers are left out, putting you at the center. You pay for free email with your privacy. If you've got free email, there's no such thing as free. You're paying for it with your privacy. At Fastmail, your data stays yours with better productivity features for as little as $3 a month. Fastmail has better spam filters and absolutely no ads popping up in your emails. And privacy isn't all you get with Fastmail. You'll also get superior productivity tools with scheduled send, snooze, folders, labels, search bar, etc. Plus, you can keep track of all of the important details in your life easily with Fastmail's powerful sidebar. It works with password managers like Bitwarden and 1Password to make it easy for you to create unique passwords for every account, and then unique emails, that's that masked email option, which are then safely stored on your device. And it's great on desktop and mobile, especially when you download the Fastmail app to get the most out of your email. The Fastmail app is a great way to just have your email right there. It's easy to download your old data, import it into your new Fastmail inbox. Fastmail is moving email forward with new internet standards and open source innovations that power many email services other than their own. So don't get left behind by substandard email providers. Use Fastmail. Reclaim your privacy and boost productivity with Fastmail. Try it now, free for 30 whole days at fastmail.com/twit. That's fastmail.com/twit. Give it a go. You're gonna love it. Fastmail.com/twit. Thank you, Fastmail, for sponsoring this week's episode of iOS Today. All right, we are back from the break, and I could hear the music. It's time for Shortcuts Corner. Welcome to Shortcuts Corner, the part of the show where typically you write in with your Shortcuts Corner requests, and Rosemary Orchard provides a response. Our Shortcuts expert gives you a response. This week, though, because there's so much to cover with WWDC and the new OSs, that Rosemary, you are going to give us some information about new things folks can expect with Shortcuts come iOS, iPadOS 17. Tell us what you are excited about, I'm sure.
Well, there's a number of things I'm excited about. And of course, first of all, is that Shortcuts did actually get mentioned a couple of times in the keynote, though it didn't appear to get any big features. But then you kind of look around in iOS and iPadOS, which is what I'm going to show off here, and you'll realize that Shortcuts is sneaking into more and more places. So when you open a search, you would previously get, various Siri suggestions and so on as well. But if I type, for example, Mikah, then this has been updated a little bit to give me, these are called app shortcuts. And so the fact that I've got a FaceTime icon, I have a messages icon, I have a phone icon in with Mikah's contact, which is, these are actual app shortcuts. And these will be expanding throughout the OS as everything goes. So now in my Siri suggestions, I can see that these are updated a little bit, and they've changed that UI. And this is because Shortcuts is kind of integrating everywhere. Now, inside of Shortcuts itself, well, Shortcuts is theoretically at least got a complete redesign and overhaul. I'm not really seeing any significant changes here. The next action suggestions have changed a bit. There are, however, some new actions, or rather shortcuts, in the shortcuts from my apps section. So the Books app has got some new redesigned options, as does the Clocks, the Clock app, and so on. The Files app has a lovely scan document example, and music recognition has snuck in here as well, despite the fact that I don't have Shazam installed on this device. But the phone is also here, but I have a feeling that that's because this is a beta, and the phone often sneaks into shortcuts in the first iPadOS beta and then gets pulled out again. But the thing that I'm sure a lot of folks have been looking for is automation related. Now, as I mentioned before, the Shortcuts app on iPhone, on iOS, crashes on launch at the moment in this current beta. I'm just going to see if I can make this app full screen. There we go. So I haven't been able to check any of the triggers on there for new triggers, but it turns out that there are some new triggers and then some improvements to existing automation triggers in iPadOS. So, for example, if we have a look in the triggers, then we can see transactions. So when you use Apple Wallet to do things, for example, if I use it for public transport, and I can even choose to limit it to just one card, and then I am also able to say, hey, I would like this to run immediately. Now, run immediately is what used to be called ask before running, and that was on by default. And now it says run after confirmation or run immediately. So we've got transactions. So there's public transport, payment, access, e-money, and identity transactions. And you can filter that for different cards if you filter that for a particular card. And then it shows you various automations that you might want. Now, what is different here is that it gives me a shortcut. So I can actually just choose to run a specific shortcut instead of doing what I had to do previously, which is create an automation and use the run shortcut action. And that is a really nice improvement. And then also inside of this, I can see that I can change my automation from run immediately to run after confirmation or don't run, which disables it. So that's a really nice trigger and option and improvement. But some of these other ones have also popped in. So on iPad, we've got triggers for display and stage manager. So you've got when displays connect or disconnect and when stage manager is turned on or turned off. So I can imagine, for example, connecting a display would enable stage manager. And then some of the other ones that we have had before, which maybe you couldn't necessarily do all that much with, Bluetooth, for example. If you have a car that doesn't have CarPlay, but it's got Bluetooth, then previously you kind of had to hope that the Do Not Disturb while driving feature would magically enable itself automatically and use your driving focus mode as a proxy to say, hey, I've connected to my car. Well, good news, folks. You can now say, when Bluetooth is connected, I want this automation to run immediately. And that's it. That's all you need to do. That's a really nice option. That's an upgrade there. And it's the same with Wi-Fi. And Wi-Fi even has an option for connection interruption. So if you disconnect from the Wi-Fi and then reconnect within 3 minutes, it wouldn't run it again.
Oh, that's cool.
Email and messages also now have run immediately options, and so do location. Some locations may do. Now, I'm actually not going to let Shortcuts access my location because I have a feeling it's going to show everything if I do that, and I haven't had time to figure out how to spoof my location yet with iOS 17. But some of the location options looked like they were able to run a little bit more immediately for you as well. So that is just some of the really cool improvements. And also there's the fact that app shortcuts have actually, and app intents have really been kind of amped up, and they've made the point of giving you, this whole section as an app in the Shortcuts app. And then these things also all appear in the settings app, in Spotlight. So whenever you're searching for things, and you can turn on and off whether or not an app appears in Spotlight, but by default, it will appear in Spotlight. And I believe, I haven't changed reminders, it will also appear in Siri as well. And so those app shortcuts, which are just magic shortcuts that come with the app for free. Everybody can use them. Don't need to configure them or set them up. They're just there and they work, are there for everybody. And it's really exciting. I'm really sad that the Shortcuts app just crashes on iPhone because I have a feeling there's even more stuff in there, which I would really love to see. But at the same time, I'll just have to be patient and see what happens.
Yeah, and this is part of the reason why I have not done that upgrade to not even really that. installed the betas there, but I think I've got an iPad I can do that on, so I'll be checking that out there. All right, with that, I think it's time for some more music. It's time for App Caps. This is the part of the show where we place caps atop our heads to honor our app or gadget picks of the week. These are the apps and gadgets we are using now, or maybe have been using for some time, that we are choosing to share with all of you because we think they're great and we want you to know about them. So we don caps and honor those apps and gadgets. Rosemary Orchard, tell us about the cap on your head and then tell us about your app or gadget pick of the week.
Well, the hat atop my head was an emergency hat purchase when I visited New York last year. It's one I've been wearing outside a lot recently because it's actually been sunny here in the UK. Yay! It is just a green sort of large sun hat. It's got quite a floppy brim, so I'm going to attempt to bend it up and it'll probably stay up and look pretty dorky, but you know what? It means that you'll kind of be able to see my face. I say kind of because my app pick of the week is an iPad app. So that's going to take up most of the screen if you are watching the video version. This is The Witness. So The Witness is not a new game. It's been around for a while. And I'm choosing to play it using an Xbox controller, which I've connected via Bluetooth to my iPad, but it does have touchscreen controls. But The Witness is an open world puzzle solving game. So I have already completed the first, I've completed quite a bit, but I've left some of these areas open so that I can go back and enjoy this with you folks. And so I'm just going to move. I put myself up here so that I could show off some of the landscape, and I've now got myself stuck because I can't actually navigate and talk at the same time. But there are essentially places that you need to go, and you want to find puzzles and then solve them. Now, puzzles usually tend to be fairly obvious. I say fairly, as in there are various different clues to help you solve things. But essentially, most of the time, what you're going to need to do is take a little cursor that's on screen and, tap on a dot and then solve your puzzle somehow. Now, how you solve it depends on the puzzle. There are different kinds of clues, and you will learn to do different things in different areas as you go. But once you've done that, then you get to enter another area and explore. And so I'm going to have a look, and I can see there's a cable there. So it's probably worth following that cable to see where it goes. I can see some screens on the wall, but they're not turned on yet. And there's some screens here. Oh, that one was kind of melted. That's not good. Let's just go here because there appears to be a cable running here. And oh, look, I've got a series of puzzles to solve. And okay, well, the one on the door was symmetrical. When I tapped on this, I got one I tapped and I selected one dot, but then both two things moved in conjunction with each other at the same time. So, yep, it looks like I'm learning to use symmetry to solve it. But this is a really fun game. I've really been enjoying it. It's not, new in the sense of it's a brand new, recently released game or anything, but it is new to me. And if you've played it before, then you may be aware that it is available on other platforms as well. The advantage, if you have not played it before, of buying it on iOS is that it's actually cheaper on this platform. It is $9.99 here. If you were buying it on PlayStation or Xbox, it would be about $30. So you can definitely save some money by buying it on iOS. And why not? It is a fun game. It works on iPhone and iPad. It doesn't work, sadly, on Apple TV, which would be a great place to play it, especially as I'm using an MFI controller. But that said, you can always plug your iPad into the TV and dock it essentially to take advantage of that big screen if you've got one in your living room. And if not, well, the iPad's a pretty fun way of playing the game as well. There we go. I think I've just solved another one. Bingo. So now I've got two more of these to go, but that's okay. I suspect I'll be able to finish those off later. So that is The Witness. If you like puzzle solving games, then you should check it out. It's great fun.
That looks like so much fun. I'm definitely getting that. So for me, the cap I'm wearing atop my head, it's kind of hard to see in the lighting, but it's the WWDC 2023 logo here in the middle of the hat. these were hats for attendees of WWDC. And then around it, I've got some lapel pins. I've got one that is an old school Mac with the hello written across it, the Mac that actually had the hello written across it that had everybody screaming in the audience way back when. The rainbow pin, which is reminiscent of the rainbow structure in Apple Park. This says WWDC, and I don't remember what the text below it says, but it's got some different icons on it. And then right here is a little emoji that has eyes, and then there are these sort of fingers over the face, and the person's peeking through. We talked about it before the show about sort of what that means, and I thought maybe that's just supposed to represent anticipation. It's like, I can't look, but I have to look, but I can't look, but I have to look. So this was fun to sort of don, or not only don the hat, but also place some pins to decorate this hat. So yes, very special episode and very cool hat that, I shouldn't say a cool hat because it is black, so it does absorb a lot of heat, but in any case, a pretty nifty hat. The app that I want to talk about is a relatively new app. It's called Web Roulette. And this is kind of a way that harkens back to the days of using an app, or rather sort of browsing the web like you're flipping through channels, right? So what you do is in the top left corner of the app are the kind of settings, and you set up the different URLs that you want to switch between. And below, there are some suggestions for sites that you might want to visit. So you can just tap the plus to add those. You can add your own by hitting the plus button in the top right corner and then add that URL. And then what you do is you swipe through, and it just takes you to one of these sites randomly. So it's the sites that you want to see, but it is a random kind of look at it. The idea here is that you are, again, it's like when you used to sort of channel surf until you found something or even radio surf to try to find something that you wanted to listen to. So this, I can kind of quickly look through what I might want to read. I come across something and then I can go down that rabbit hole if I'd like. And you only get to do so many swipes before you then have to shake your phone to kind of reset the actual system. So I can shake again and shake one more time, and then I am able to view, this was the Lego site. So these shakes will take me to random web pages across the internet, rather than the ones that are just what I have actually listed in my set of sites. So if you kind of want to if you're bored and you want to have a way to kind of find some new stuff to read, or, you want to visit your favorite sites and obviously give them your views, so that helps support them, I think this is a fun way to do it. It's Web Roulette. It's available completely for free in the App Store. Super quick download. The file, it's on a huge file, and it's just a different way to look at websites instead of maybe, RSS or whatever other way you might go about finding content, maybe on Twitter or elsewhere. So I found it fun as a way to visit some sites that maybe I haven't visited in a long time, and be able to read through what's out there. So yes, that is Web Roulette, available for free in the App Store. And that brings us to the end of this episode of iOS Today. Folks, there again, so much to cover in iOS, iPadOS, and on and on and on, WatchOS, all of the operating systems, because WWDC just took place yesterday. We will be covering loads more. Rosemary, I believe we will not have you the next 2 weeks, but I am excited to say that Christopher Lawley, who was also with me at WWDC, will be joining us the next 2 weeks to cover all sorts of stuff related to WWDC and the Apple Design Awards. So he's very much looking forward to that. I will miss you. Our listeners will miss you. And we look forward to your return after that. If you have questions out there, folks, feedback, Shortcuts Corner requests, anything like that, please email us, iOstoday@twit.tv. twit.tv. We record this show every Tuesday about 9 a.m. Pacific, so consider tuning in live to watch it by going to twit.tv/live. Then you can watch the live stream on various streaming platforms. But the best way to get the show is by subscribing, not only for the sake of getting the show when it's available, but also because it helps us when we can show that you out there are watching the show. That is very helpful to us. So please consider subscribing. You can go to twit.tv/iOS, subscribe to audio, subscribe to video. We try to make the audio just as accessible as the video. The video is a great way to watch, though, because you get to see a bunch of stuff, but we do our best to describe it. So tell your friends, send your friends this episode. If they are bugging you, going, what's new in iOS? What do I need to know? Send them this episode, please. Send them the link. They can listen. They can watch. We're on YouTube as well. And that way they get an idea of what they can expect. And they also get our shenanigans along with that. Please also consider joining Club Twit at twit.tv/clubtwit. When you join the club, starting at $7 a month, $84 a year, you get a lot of great stuff. First, you get access to every single Twit show with no ads. It's all the shows, just the content, because you are the supporter. You also get access to the Twit Plus bonus feed that has extra content you won't find anywhere else, behind the scenes, before the show, after the show, outtakes, all sorts of fun stuff, including Club Twit events. So it is, no matter when you join, you're going to suddenly have a back catalog of so much fun stuff that you get to watch that's there in the Twit Plus bonus feed. You can also join the Club Twit Discord. Many folks have heard of Discord at this point. It's a fun place to go to chat with your fellow Club Twit members and many of us here at Twit. And all of that, again, twit.tv/clubtwit, $7 a month, $84 a year. And you will also, along with that, get access to some Club Twit exclusive shows. You can check out Hands on Windows, which is Paul Thurrott's program all about Windows. It's a shorter format show, so it's just, covering specific tips and topics. That's a great way to sort of, again, you get this whole library of stuff where you can scroll through, find what you want to listen to and learn about, and it's all right there. You will also get the Untitled Linux show. If Linux is your thing, there's a show all about Linux hosted by Jonathan Bennett, which is so much fun for Linux nerds out there. And then there's also Hands on Mac, which is my show that is also a shorter format show covering tips and tricks, not just for the Mac, but also iPhone, iPad. And as all of this beta stuff is rolling out, this is now the time to get an exclusive first look at some of these features and how they work and what we know about them. So consider joining for that, as well as Scott Wilkinson's relaunched Home Theater Geeks program. So Scott, every Thursday, has a new topic about home theater. So much fun. All only available to club members. So twit.tv/clubtwit to sign up. I said starting at $7 a month. That's not because it's sort of a tiered thing where if you pay $10, then you get access. No. Folks said, hey, we'd like to give you more money because you keep adding new stuff that we love and value. So is there a way we can do that? So we just said the cost starts at $7. If you want to put in a number that's more than that, you can. And so that's available to you now. Please join the club. That helps us keep doing what we do here, and we want to keep doing what we do here and bringing you this every week. And special shout out to some of the folks I talked to yesterday at WWDC who said, I watched your show and I love what you and Rosemary are doing. This is why we do what we do, because there are folks out there who find value in what we are able to bring to the table. So thank you for those kind notes. Rosemary Orchard, if folks want to follow you online and check out all your great work, where should they go to do so?
Well, the best place is rosemaryorchard.com, which has links to social media around the internet, and of course, podcasts, apps, and books that I am part of. Of course, I'm also in the Club Twit Discord, hanging out in the iOS Today channel. And other than that, you can find me on Mastodon at rosemary@snailedit.social. And if you do happen to see me over the next couple of weeks at Glastonbury, do come and say hi and yeah, it would be lovely to meet you. But if not, then I'll be back in a couple of weeks. And Mikah, where can folks find you?
You can find me online at Mikah Sargent on many a social network, or head to chihuahua.coffee, CHIHUA.coffee, where I've got links to many of the places I'm most active online. If you're watching, then you're seeing this great site called Bento. And Bento it's bento.me is a place to kind of set up a nice set of links. So not a sponsor. I just think that the service is really great. And then it's got all my links on it. You'll be able to find me wherever I exist online. So not in person, just online. So consider heading there. And thank you all so much for tuning in this week. Thank you for taking the time to join us. We appreciate you. We appreciate bringing this show to you. And I and Christopher Lawley will be here next week for the next episode of iOS Today. Until then, though, we say goodbye and thank you for tuning in.
Hey there, Scott Wilkinson here. In case you hadn't heard, Home Theater Geeks is back. Each week, I bring you the latest audio-video news, tips and tricks to get the most out of your AV system, product reviews, and more. You can enjoy Home Theater Geeks only if you're a member of Club Twit, which costs $7 a month, or you can subscribe to Home Theater Geeks by itself for only $2.99 a month. I hope you'll join me for a weekly dose of Home Theater Geekitude.